going on?
I got a month and a half left.
To what?
End of my mayorship.
You're not going 4 for 4?
I have bigger plans.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me ask you an honestly, right? Like this isn't gonna happen.
Ever honest.
Huh?
I'm only ever honest.
What if there was a commissioner?
Like of the PD and whatever.
Yes.
Like above chiefs and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, could be good and bad. It all depends who's in what position.
It would be somebody that is put in only to oversee it as an administrative role, but not a punitive role.
I mean, a commissioner,
like an actual commissioner.
A commissioner is beneficial in times of contention between the parties, or like I guess if it's two parties and they're both in a disagreement and they're not coming to a middle ground, that's where a commissioner is, needed.
Okay.
Because they're there to resolve that issue and decide on something.
So like the marshals were at one point.
Well, like they wanted to be, I think.
Yeah, I mean, technically, legally, they did for a minute because of shit that was written in for a little bit.
Yeah, but they did, but nothing solved. There was no resolution to any of the problems.
Okay.
It's kind of like another headache.
When I say commissioner, I mean like an actual commissioner. So commissioners traditionally do administrative work, right? And that means watching the budget, making sure like SOPs are matching legislation, like all that kind of shit. You know what I mean? So, but there would not be, I think, the traditional in San Andreas commissioner where they're boss. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, if let's say the chief or the sheriff did something they didn't like, they couldn't give them punitive punishment, right? But rather they would act as, here's what you should be doing. Here's how the budget should be looking, right? Does that kind of make sense?
I mean, laid out like that, it could be beneficial. It probably would be beneficial, unless the commissioner had, various ulterior motives in mind.
That's true, and I think that's why the punitive can't be there, because everyone and their mother, more than 50% of people that take any sort of like position are doing it for their own accord, right? And then power goes completely out of control. Now, I know, obviously, I'm sure you think that of me to some degree, but listen, let's be honest here. If I really wanted to do shit, everything would be burning down, right? And I mostly am just a shitlord.
We can agree on that.
Okay. All right. Second question.
I mean, you sat in there and realized that you can pretty much take money out of your state account and get away with it as long as you gift it to yourself as a personal grant after 30 days.
See, the thing is, I actually have morals. Like every single one of my transactions is backed on an Excel sheet. Every discretionary spending is voted by my cabinet. I can't make unanimous decisions on it.
I'm well aware that there's a plethora of loopholes that could be exploited.
Oh yeah, with this DOJ, with this fucking police department, you have no idea. Like I could literally be, have like plans to completely destabilize the government. You know what I mean? And have people like just stockpiling all over the place and no one will know the better. I mean, it's San Andreas, right? Like at the end of the day, it's run by criminals, right?
It's possible.
So, all right.
Is this your plan, Nino? Is your plan to get rid of me?
What the fuck was that?
Did you have you on radio? No. Can you come to the west and flip Nino's car, please?
Holy fucking shit. I think it was Princess.
It's good to have people on call to come put your car.
Wait.
Hey,
Hey!
Goose. Hey, Goose.
What the fuck?
What's going on, Goose? What's wrong? Who you barking at, me or Nino? Which one?
Holy fuck, it's a dog.
You never seen Goose before?
No. Holy shit.
Right there.
You want me to do it? You want me to...
Oh, Cassie's got it. Yeah, just flip it. Fine.
There you go.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right.
I'm actually surprised you haven't seen Goose before.
No, I haven't. Yeah. I'm mostly driving around. I don't really, walk all that much.
Yeah, I think, I think a commissioner could be beneficial. If laid out like that with somebody with good intentions in mind could only be beneficial.
Things are in a really bad spot, in my opinion.
Of course they are.
And that's an across the board thing. And if listen, I like running businesses, right? That's where I see myself going back to in the future. But the thing is, that's not conducive when there's problems. No one's going to want to invest into San Andreas if things are complete shithole. And I'm not talking about just shootings, right? I mean, these court cases, whether on both ends of the spectrum, are fucking dog shit. But it's not just because of the DOJ. It's the entire system, right? That's why I'm starting to ask questions like this.
Yeah, the DOJ makes them. They're not perfect by any means. They make mistakes, but they are also. I think they're also trying to sail a sinking ship to some extent.
Yeah. I mean, the
But
current
they're also
justice
scooping
is.
water. They're also scooping water and putting it on the ship at the same time, so they're not helping.
I agree. They were given a bad hand, but they're not exactly playing the hand either. I mean, look, there's an inherent problem when 3 out of 5 of them were active. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But equally, there's problems in the government too, right? Like I mean, with the mayor setup, there's problems with legislation. There's a lot of things. That's why I'm starting to ask these questions, because I am planning something. I mean, obviously, you probably realize that by now. I can't go into specifics at this time, but I want whatever that proposal is, when it does go forward, to at least make enough sense that even if there isn't full buy-in.
You're speeding. You're not speeding. You're going through red lights, man.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Engine off, window down, please, and thank you.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
You're about to get smoked by my deputy.
Hello, my name is Senior Deputy Mackenzie Hayes with the Blaine County Sheriff's Office.
How you
Can I
doing,
get your
ma'am?
license and registration for the vehicle?
Yep, absolutely.
Dispatch 366-1038 with a white vehicle on
talking to you.
integrity.
All right, let me see. Are there any LSPD officers around?
I believe so, yes.
Awesome. Could I get a senior plus LSPD officer on scene, please?
Sure.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you. And
Any
here's
senior
my
LSPD
license.
officer
There we go, right there.
that can come to my 38 on integrity
I'm
and
getting
power.
deja vu
Oh, I'm
right
sorry.
now.
Oh, what the fuck?
Sonny, you're not a double agent.
I know. I'm sorry.
Good shit.
I'm getting deja vu right now.
I know. I'm sorry. I gotta do something. about
Jesus
that.
Christ, I was not expecting that. All right, I radioed for one, but Ocean King, Sunny was just trying to put me in cuffs. I still need a senior
So,
LSPD officer on integrity and power. All right, so the reason for the stop is because you went through a red light on...
Sorry, ma'am. Could you identify yourself for me real quick?
I can again. Senior Deputy Hayes with the Blaine County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
The reason as to why you are being stopped is because you went through a red light on Alta and San Andreas, and then you proceeded to go through another red light right behind us.
I got you. All right. Did I come to a full stop?
No, you did not. You went straight through.
Did you see it, Ventura? Did it come to a full stop? I don't actually remember.
I honestly wasn't paying attention, but
Oh shit!
I wasn't paying attention.
You're a lieutenant, right? Captain? You're a captain?
They're just requesting a senior officer if you want to come and chat. But I did not see you come to a complete stop for both of the red lights. You were going 60 and a 55, which is not that big of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's more the not coming to a complete stop. So you can speak to Opal here about any concerns that you have, and I will just run your information, okay?
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. How you doing, Opal?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Hey. I just want to make sure this is like properly documented. It is election season, right? Me and Ventura, there may have been an attempt on our life just now. I'm not sure. There was
Nino tried to kill me.
Yeah.
He ran over a landmine.
Yeah. There's a fucking bike in the middle of the road. Fucking entire thing exploded.
He's also getting smoked by my deputies right now in the traffic stop. They called for backup.
Didn't I? When's the last time you pushed gang-related shooting after my court case?
Yesterday.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Opal, I'm
also a bunch of times between.
I want to make sure everything's documented. As I am concerned that I did come to a complete stop, and I want to take it to traffic court. So I want to make sure it's all like properly sorted. You know what I mean? If I do get a citation, that is.
Of course.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, Ventura, you saw him come to a complete stop, right?
I don't think he did, but I don't remember enough to speak fully on it.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I don't remember stopping at red light.
Yeah.
Well, that's why whenever he asked in front of Hayes, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to influence her decision.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking to you right now. You're not the one deciding if this could happen.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, in the grand scheme of things, if this were to go to traffic court, why would you say you think? Well, if you don't know, then...
In traffic court, I would say that I don't remember.
Yeah. We were in conversation, so, though I do believe that if I was driving that sort of manner, a captain would have noticed. But since he didn't notice, it's kind of like, has me thinking I probably didn't do it.
Well, I'm a BCSO captain, so that's a lower standard.
Oh,
that's
understandable.
Yeah, no, 100%. He's basically like an LSPD senior at this point.
Yeah.
Jesus.
In Ellis County, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
All right. I'm thinking like running reds. Is that even needed in the county?
You didn't think it was needed when I gave you a ticket, when I pulled you over for running reds way a while back?
Yeah, I know, but I was still kind of like on the edge of it. Well, the problem was I was working with Moss and I asked for an opinion. And she changed it over the course of 3 months. So we kind of got stuck in a loop.
I wanted like slow down and go instead of stop and go. But then it's problematic because at what speed is slow down? Or what speed are you slowing down? What is acceptable? What isn't?
Well, slow down means no consistent, right?
So
slow down would need to be like, bring it down to like 30 miles an hour or something. Like, yeah. How's your day going, Opal?
Having a rough week, sure.
What happened?
Just things and stuff.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, I'll actually do this. I'll back up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, speaking to Deputy Sunny, we are going to give you a verbal warning today. You have to come to a complete stop. That means your car is sitting at 0 miles an hour for at least 5 seconds before you go through a red light.
Well, I know. I wrote the law.
Well, then that means you should be able to follow it even better if you wrote it.
Yeah. It's got to be followed properly, and...
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So 0 miles an hour at red lights and stop signs, and then you can go straight through. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm going
You're
to.
welcome.
Is there any way that I can get a report on this? I'm going to be utilizing it for myself and Ventura are going to be writing the slow and go legislation.
The slow and go legislation.
Yeah. Where you can slow roll traffic stops or red lights.
I don't
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a little bit ridiculous, but sure, yeah, I can write a report about the fact that you went through 2 red lights that I stated to you.
Wait, the report or like slow and go?
Let's slow and go. I think people break traffic laws way too much in this state. That to make it easier for them is a little bit.
Well, it's not about that. It's like a public safety issue and it's a budget issue, right? So right now, being well aware that there's budgeting issues, diverting taxpayer money towards traffic stops that inherently don't do anything other than eat from the budget. I mean, I heard a shootout outside of Senior Buns, right? Like if there was more patrol focused around that and instead people were able to slowly go through red lights, I think we would have a much better situation on our hands. But what do I gotta say? I'm only just 3-time, could be 4-time democratically elected, most legislation written in all of San Andreas, Mr. Nino Chavez,
I forgot most humble.
Oh, I am not humble at all. I got a massive cock.
Well, you can be humble about that.
Well, when it comes down to traffic stops, they can be a great way to interact with the general public in a more neutral setting. Also create more of a rapport between officers and the general public, and then also help officers try to identify any individuals that are inside of the vehicle that may be
what? I
part of an
agree.
investigation, and then also for warrants.
That would be fantastic for getting to know the people of Blaine County.
I know the people of Blaine County.
No, not you specifically. I mean, like, if that's how it wanted to be done up north.
Yeah, you are the mayor, and then you get to decide legislation for laws, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
So you are all good. When my lights are off, you are free to go.
All right. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for your cooperation.
Yeah, anytime. What's your name, ma'am?
Sunny Flowers, sir.
Pleasure to meet you, Sonny.
Pleasure to meet you too.
All right.
Have a good day. Stay safe.
You too.
Bye, Sonny.
Bye, Ventura.
Later, guys.
All right. You see, I'm a fucking shitlord, but I'm not I'm not going to do anything crazy.
I mean, a lot of people don't have. For being a shitlord, some people don't have patience. I'm not saying they don't by any means, but for people that don't have patience, you must be fucking annoying to deal with.
Because I'm a lawyer. That's kind of the point. You know what I mean? You have to break people down. Like, let me ask you a question. What is worse, gunning down the police department, right, in order to send a political message, or using your words?
What's worse?
Yeah.
I think gunning down the police department either sends a message or doesn't. It's like a coin flip.
Yeah. Well, one, it probably never sends a message. It makes them dig their heels in.
I think there's been like 2 or 3 times historically where it's actually sent a message, and the rest of the times it's just made PD shit on whoever's shooting them harder.
Okay, fair enough.
But using your word, I mean, rapport and conversation generally has a better effect.
I don't think people have actual rapport in San Andreas.
They do.
The amount of times I've had honest conversations with people, only for them to think there's an ulterior motive, or they talk from both. Eventually, you get grinded down, and you know what? I'm just going to be a motherfucker. You know what I mean?
I mean, rapport is a thing without there having to be full honest. Rapport is just like relations between 2 people and how they can converse with each other.
Oh, okay. All right. At that level, yeah, I agree. Anyways,
Like we are having rapport right now, though you're not saying everything. You know, you're withholding information based on what the questions you were asking me. For whatever reasons, right?
Yeah, that is true.
Which I'm not like here to poke and prod, and you know, I don't necessarily need that information, but we're having a rapport without me knowing.
That is true. Okay, I misunderstood what you meant by rapport there.
Yeah, I think by rapport she just meant conversations, speak more conversations with different people that you wouldn't normally interact with. Had there not been
what she was saying. Oh, I tuned out. I was just being a shit. I was just giving her a hard time.
She was just mentioning traffic stops are a good way to basically talk.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest. If I ran those red lights, I deserved the fucking ticket. I was just being a shitlord. You know what I mean?
Said, like you might have, but I wasn't paying attention enough to realize.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
kind of like it was like background noise to me that, you know, like I know the route we just took, how we went up Dorset and we took a right and then two more rights and came back down here. But I don't remember exactly everything we did on the route. I wasn't paying enough attention to realize, you know, what car was on the right. Could have passed the red car, but I don't know.
Yeah. Fair enough. What the fuck were we talking about? So the reason, just so you're aware, the reason I'm not mentioning exactly what the intent here is, obviously when it comes to, let's just say, big legislative changes, right? Going into the details isn't conducive because obviously you're going to talk to people. That's normal, right? But given the fact that things are not, I don't even know if I'm going to go through with this, and it's not just the commissioner, it's more of, let's say, a proposal, right? Sure. If I go too much into detail and 80% of that changes, I'm opening a door for a lot of misinformation when something does get cooked up. And rumors run the city, right? Like Dark, I just got done getting off the phone call with Dark. There was a lot of people that were under the impression that he was in Tahiti.
I thought he was missing.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that may not, or the other series of rumors that go around very quickly, like around the plague or around this, around that. So it's not, when it's out there, it's going to be pretty public. All right. Do you know there's $30 million in the BCSO account? Or sorry, in the Blaine County account?
Something around that much.
You know that there's enough money in there and enough coming in to actually pay you guys a fair wage and pay for repairs?
Last I've heard was we are somewhat breaking even when it comes to expenses versus
yes,
like revenue.
Yeah.
Revenue is probably the bad word for it, but money coming in versus money going out. We're like evening out.
There's yes, exactly. And it's been like that for a couple months now. Because the reason is that a lot of money comes into the budget, like I think the first week of the month. However, for some reason now, I think a big reason is the previous mayors and deputies have only been around every so often, probably look at that sheet very rarely, so that they see like a big negative number in there, not recognizing that the bulk of that monthly income came in the first week. Kind of makes sense? So,
yeah, which is, it's, I'd say to an extent, it's not really their fault because they may not be the most experienced with the system, whereas you've had 3 terms to sort of learn it fully. And
oh no, I fixed my budget in the first week. I spent, I genuinely,
the budget seems a lot easier to fix.
14, not initially, no. I spent
everything, aren't sandy workers getting like paid a lot, and then like everyone is getting like paid really good, and you're still making a lot of money?
It is now, right? So in my first term, that wasn't true. So in the first term, we were paying for everything, right? And so in the first, the day after I got elected, I spent about 14 hours fine tuning everything. Now you are correct. Like today, it is printing money. Due to the amount of real estate, due to a lot of our programs, and a big part of it actually is Okay, so does Sandy get paid a lot? Yes, but I'm also diverting funds in a way where the problem that Blaine County is facing is the problem I faced in my first term, where we did not have effectively unlimited money, is what I'm trying to say. So the picture of the last two terms is not representative of the first term.
I think we've all accepted, at least for Blaine County, that Blaine County, at least unless there's some changes, is never going to be in a position where it's going to be printing money.
It can, though. So I'm going to tell you just straight up, I have offered every single mayor money.
For what?
For whatever. I just need someone for anything. Like, I just got done getting off the phone with Eugene, and it's like, like money. I'm like, literally just make like a fucking orphans, like abandoned, like whatever fucking bullshit fund. So it makes sense that I'm giving you money. That's been the request. The same way I do it for businesses. If they want $1 million, I don't just give them $1 million because they call me on the phone. I say, go make like a thing, like a document explaining why you need it, right? So that, you know, my office isn't just a fucking vending machine. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What do you think Eugene would do with the 30 million plus however much money more is in the account?
I think Eugene. Okay, so Eugene's hated my guts since a minute because I destroyed Osvaldo. And Eugene, right? I think he'd be pretty good, but I think he'd also be pretty spicy. Are you saying like would he take the money out and do some wild shit?
He might to an extent.
I think he's gonna be, I don't know. He's a bit of a wild card, but I think he also genuinely isn't gonna fuck shit up because he's the most opinionated man in San Andreas, and it gives him an opportunity to put those opinions into action, right? So okay. I don't believe he's gonna do something that would squander his, if he was elected, I don't think he would like squander that opportunity.
Well, I mean, it's pretty hard to get removed out of office, so he'd have to fuck up real bad.
It's hard because everyone's lazy.
DOJ coin flip. Well, there's also the DOJ coin flip you got to get through, you know?
I mean, Pred got removed for the entire term, effectively, right?
Yeah, in the end, I guess.
Well, while he lost, the title is one thing, but the power is another. Like there was the writ, right? So let's say he misappropriated funds, right? And there was probable cause for that. You then issue a writ. That writ takes away his powers, which is what happened with Pred. I don't think anyone should be worried about someone grossly fucking up. If we're going to be honest, I don't think anyone can actually fuck anything up, right? The worst thing that they can do is like take your budget away. So if you want me to be on, okay, listen, I'm going to shoot straight with you. I did consider running for the North, and this kind of gives you an insight as to some of the things I'm thinking. In order to alter some of the current structure, I think the police department should be independently governed. Oops. Independently governed. Okay. The mayor today, right? I know there's been a feeling where people are like, well, the mayor shouldn't be able to decide the chief, should not be able to decide the sheriff, right? I get where some of that sentiment comes from. The mayor is responsible for their county. I think generally speaking that civics should be handled by the mayor, by a singular entity across the entire island. I think the mayor should have influence on the police department, but they should be operating almost independent from the civil side of things. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying that the police department should be autonomous and without any oversight, but that should be a separate problem than the governance of all of San Andreas, because inherently those things conflict.
how do you think the police department, at least LSPD, has been operating since Turn has been put in place?
They actually are making progress. I don't
How do
think
you
he's
think-
done anything yet that is holding the accountability that I would like to see, but my bar is way higher than anyone else. Just because of my law background. You get what I'm saying?
Sure. How do you think the BCSO and the LSPD
better
relations have been?
Better, because Moss was the worst decision I ever made in my life.
Well, better in a direction that you think is beneficial for the state as a whole?
Yeah, it's better with Turner and Aspen there. Because like both may have their opinions and may protect their departments, but they actually communicate instead of whatever the fuck was happening before.
Listen, my biggest worry with Wildcard Eugene is that Eugene's gonna come in and throw somebody in the sheriff's department, sheriff position that will shake up relations, make it more difficult. And
do you want
spin us
Aspen
into a
to
spot.
remain? I think she should remain. I don't think it makes any sense to change the sheriff.
I think Aspen is doing good, but I don't know if Eugene would keep her.
I can chat with him. I'm gonna transparently. I'm more afraid of Princess. Not for myself. I get to continue doing what I'm doing. I just think that it all comes down to this plague. If I'm to believe the plague is a real threat, then why does someone that has actively worked with an individual need to be anywhere close to office, right? I may be sympathizing to cop killers. Terrorism is a different fucking level that I'm not going to touch with a stick. Because if I am to believe this thing can kill us all, then why the fuck would I want someone who sympathizes with a fucking, like, you know, biological terrorist? How am I going to sympathize with somebody that on one hand is a team Pred, is the next hand team fucking police department, is the next hand pro pestilence? You know what I'm saying? Like, at least I know what I'm getting with Eugene, right? It's kind of why I, believe it or not, I fuck with you. You know, we may have been at odds, but I know who you are. I know what to expect from you. You get what I'm saying?
What do you expect from me?
Well, I mean, you're a fucking, I don't know. You're like fucking very pro BCSO. You're gonna be, you know, making sure that, you know, you're not gonna, you know what I mean? Whatever, like whatever your attributes are. Like, I know who you are. I know how this I know if we're both screaming at each other, what your position you're generally gonna hold, right? Because that is, sure. I know that when you're saying something, you mean that shit, and you're not like just saying it to like glaze, and then in the next minute you're doing the opposite, right? That's significantly more problematic.
My priority, for the most part, is the department, like you said. I care primarily about the BCSO, and the BCSO, I don't think, should be a secluded little outskirts thing to go fend for ourselves. I think we operate well with the LSPD. I think the best way to operate with the LSPD is to cooperate with the LSPD, and that means, and you know, I'm all for. I was never against the, to be honest, the
counties,
the jurisdictional thing as a whole, as a premise. I was against the necessity of when we are here, the LSPD is to take over things and boss things around. I think that was irrelevant. I think that added extra steps that were problematic and they were useless. I think.
Do you know why that was brought up?
Sure.
The intent behind it was not, because I don't know how it was portrayed to you. The taking over scenes and
somebody's getting shot. Cops are getting shot on Popular Street, across Innocence, Cassidy McQuillan's cars. I just heard it. I'm in Nino's car. I'm not responding to it. Class 2 gunfire. They're on the corner of Popular and Innocence. They were in both cars, and I heard Class 2 gunfire. I don't know how many people were there.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I think I'm not sure. I kind of like fucking
Chat
let me
is
forget,
toothless,
like,
please.
you know.
Sorry,
the whole
one sec.
jurisdiction-
Sorry, I got a bit of a hot on right now for some reason.
Nah, you can. Must not be used to
Sorry,
that,
what were you
but,
saying?
I kind of live and forget about, you know, how it happened and the specifics on why it went down. You know, it's the past. So I can move on from it. I think adding steps of, like, you know, people had, which it turned into, there might have been intention, but it turned into automatic scene takeover and automatic.
That was fucking brain dead.
That was completely useless.
The messaging I had was people should be able to feel like it is their police department. That doesn't mean get away from crime, but have the feeling of, and I don't mean just accountability, but the feeling that their desires are baked into law and the governance of the state, and that includes the police department, right? So if there was a culture of, let's say, wanting moonshine, right? Like alcohol, right? Prohibition versus not prohibition, that you wouldn't have law enforcement diverting around away from that democratic desire, right? And that's kind of where jurisdictions begin and where they end. Unfortunately, I think that, let's just say, the messaging of that got convoluted because some of the individuals in charge of doing the talking in between couldn't talk straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It turned into something else.
To put it plainly, I think if at fucking Legion Square, an officer and a deputy are in a disagreement, I think it's perfectly fine for them to have a conversation about why they disagree with each other. But it to side with the officer, I think that's perfectly fine because of jurisdiction, because of authority, the officer has ultimate say over what happens.
Yeah.
But I think there's nothing wrong with a discussion or just a healthy, you know, exchange of differencing opinions. I think there has to be something in place so that there isn't a stalemate that ultimately goes undecided, right? Like, two people can't just disagree and never have a resolution. I think the jurisdiction allows for there to be a forced resolution based on where they are.
See, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even interested in that. That's like y'all's shit. Like,
I mean, well, it does. That's what I said. My concern
Yeah.
is you know, the PD shit, which is y'all's shit.
yeah, no,
That's why-
100%.
that's all
I as far as jurisdictions for me, I mean, listen, let's not, I'm not going to pretend I wasn't, once again, like stirring shit. Of course, everybody was. I mean, that's fucking fun as shit. But I mean, in terms of like actually giving a fuck, the jurisdiction is more about having expertise about what the laws are, right?
Sure.
Like,
laws differ in different jurisdictions.
Exactly.
So
And LSPD should be an expert.
to the Los Santos laws compared to Blaine County.
Exactly. And
which is why, like I said, which why it boils down to LSPD's opinion on things would triumph Blaine County.
Right.
Because they'd be more inclined to know what the laws are. They'd be more knowledgeable.
Right. And you're
Like, this
pressing
goes down.
jurisdiction. Like, let's say, just hypothetically, someone had moonshine down here, 2 crates, and someone's like, oh, you're going to jail, da 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 da. And they're like, no, what do you mean? I live here and I was driving here and da 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 da. And someone from Blaine County was like, well, I'm going to put it on you. And then they're like, I need an LSPD officer. They come through and they're like, well, no, that's legal here. And they're like, well, I'm going to press it anyways. Like, well, I'm going to have to take jurisdiction because that's fucked up.
It's
You know
like
what I
when
mean?
weed was legal in the city, but it was illegal up north. And if a Blaine County officer found somebody with marijuana, the legal amount in the city, but in our laws it's illegal, they wouldn't. They should know, but they might not necessarily know that's legal. Different thing in laws and specialized, sure.
Well, legislation's fucked anyways. We've been trying to change it for a minute with Barrett. It's not cohesive enough. It's why we are currently working on pushing a criminal code in Los Santos County and want to make it statewide where, well, I'm just going to tell you this. How many times have you gone to court with 3 sentences written out and you have to fight 3 sentences? And then the judge gets to decide in their own imagination what that means.
If you're talking about bench trials, I generally don't like. I don't like how the bench trials are dealt with in this current state. I think bench trials held to the standard of a civil, like an actual court case, a docket filing court case.
Yeah, it's brain dead.
In the level of preparation that's expected in PD. When for the most part it's scenes that have, you know, concluded half an hour ago, and a lot of officers are still dealing with shit and no one's ready and whatever and things like that. I think it's
bench trials should be 30 bench trials historically. I listen, I know I sound pompous, but there's a reason why Cupolo de Nino Chavez's name's on that template. When the idea of bench trials came into fruition, the idea was two sides present evidence and a argument, and there's a minor amount of questioning to the point of the narratives that, so you say, hey, da 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 happened. Defense says, no, ba 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 happened. And then both sides ask each other clarifying questions, and it's over. Not an entire fucking 2-hour court case. It's fucking dumb. But going back to my criminal code point, I want 5 documents, criminal code, every penal code actually lined up. And before this might sound scary to you, let me give you an example, right? Gang-related shooting. It's written like ass. If there was, okay, one document on criminal code could be everything around like murders and shit, right? Or, you know, assaults. When you open that thing up, every penal code charge is not only listed, but the background as to why and when they apply. Does that make sense? Such that if you, for example, using gang-related shooting, let's say there are reasons why that isn't able to be applied in certain circumstances, you can then go and push, and within 3 days, add a new sentence in there that fills a gap. That's how law works everywhere. Law does not work on 3 sentences. It's not good for you guys. It's not good for defense attorneys. Not good for prosecutors. It's not good for the public, because nobody actually knows what the fuck is legal and what the fuck is illegal. Example. If you open up the weapon legislation, a Molotov cocktail is currently a class 3 firearm. Because the penal code charge was added without updating the legislation. And therefore the penal code defines Molotovs as an explosive. The weapon legislation defines all explosives as class 3s. If that document was literally just updated, and this might sound like a shitload of work, it's not. My team literally writes this shit within an hour. It's fucking dumb. And we keep getting fucked in the ass, right? Like literally that thing can just be updated, and then you update that's it. You say class 3 reference legislation number and then the report number. So when you go to look the charge, you're not like, yo, how do I make these 3 sentences fit? No, you pop open that reference and you're like, oh, okay, these are the statutes. These are the bullet points, right? And then, so when a court case ends, there's actual clarity. People call the DOJ a spinning wheel. It's a spinning wheel because the opinion is, how do I interpret 3 sentences as to something that's cohesive? What do you think?
That seems like a major overhaul.
Well, you guys wouldn't have to do the work. Like, we already got most of it done.
Would it be it would be what, like there'd be a reference for each charge?
Mm-hmm. Legally, constitutionally, that's how it's supposed to be. And that's including by the governor's words. There's only a few, actually, I'll just send it to you. Look at this document. This was done back in October. What's your phone number?
420-322-7480. I'm pretty sure they were just sitting at the intersection chatting.
You say it's a lot of work, and you're not wrong. It is a lot of work, but there's lots of people willing to do it, right? And that includes like removing certain legislation that's there and comprehensively putting it into, like, you know, taking 4 pieces of legislation and melding it into one. So what you would do, and Barrett's been helping with this, he's got his own document as well. If you had firearm charges, it would be like reference 1025. Literally, you pop it into your MDT, you see the reference. You don't even have to like fucking, you know, in a separate tab. And it would be like statute 11.5.3, right? And so now it's not some cooked bullshit where it's like, well, in this bench trial, this happened. And in this court case, that happened. And like, you know, one person charges that way and we did this things this way. Literally, it's in there, like written out, like fully expanded out. And if it doesn't fit, it's not good civilly. If it's not good constitutionally, you guys find shit through investigations. We literally update it. It's taken 3 days. That's all it takes.
I mean, anytime
now, that would not be the legislation. The document I sent you, that's categorizing what's backed and what's not backed. So when you're going to court, it's
it
literally
can be updated to reference sort of what's relevant and like nitpick issues that come up that are redundant and can get ruled out. It would be good so that we wouldn't have to argue, like you said, 3 sentences and interpret it different ways.
Exactly. And you do not either. You also do not need case law. It's being done wrong, just straight up. If let's say you came to me, give me a charge that has been fucked in court.
One that I've seen argued is no, it's probably a bad one. I mean, the classic ones have been gang-related and criminal negligent, which I don't push criminal negligent anymore ever since the whole...
Yeah, criminal negligent is busted. We're updating that entire thing. Criminal negligent firearm, we're working with Turner. We're trying to get, anytime you purchase a firearm from ammunition, the actual serial number of the gun is put in the transaction log.
I mean, it should be.
And there'll be like a registry that people can go and register the theft as an affidavit, which then would get serviced by the police department. In other words, you get an affidavit coming in, I lost this at this time, whatever, but that still allows you to circle back and ask questions about it, right? On one hand, it might open up cases, right? Like that you didn't know about, while simultaneously they have a means by which they can perform a record. But so you say gang related, okay, well, what's the pushback on it?
The biggest pushback on gang related was the interpretation of the word engaging in terms of engaging in the shooting.
So what would happen is you would literally say this shit is like, here are the court cases, here are the rulings, whatever, like here's why we have a problem pushing this charge because of engagement. I bet we go into like violence or the right to live legislation or whatever one of the 5, let's say, criminal codes there are where gang related is listed under, and you would expand that meaning, right? Or bullet pointed out. So you know what that does? Now people know why that is illegal and when it is illegal and when it is applicable, right? They have the right to know their rights. At the same time, the PD knows here's when it's actually applicable. And when new cases open up, whether it's through court cases, whether it's through investigations, you once again expand, right? Like like jump boots, right?
Anything that would steer more towards consistency in terms of charging would be good.
I'm sorry?
I said anything that would lead towards more consistency with charges in terms of pushing them would be good.
That's the
which in turn is less it leads for less confusion.
Exactly, and it's good for everybody. No one wants to sit in the cells for 1,000,000 years to only to go to a court case 2 months later for it to go one way or another. It's a fucking dice roll. I'll say once again, it is a dice roll because you're asking the opinion on 3 sentences with undefined words, right? Instead of like an actual criminal codes, right? Like, I mean, hell, on top of that, it would make it better for PD. You lose a case, you're not like it's over, I'm never going to do this again. No, now it's, okay, this went bad this way. We don't have enough to push this, even though we know that's the right way to do it. Here's what we need to add in. Boop. Send to the mayor's office, sign. And that's what I'm pushing Turner towards, and he's working towards it, and that's why I'm discussing with this with you as well, because I want to see this system come into play, even if it's for a subset of current penal charges.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think for the most part, losing something in court isn't like the end of the world. Like when we lost the gang related on Sparky thing, the pivot to that was realizing that we have to bring with us proof of people being gang related, right? Whereas it was our mistake in assuming that the judge would know who Sparky was and play off that. We made the mistake by not providing the evidence to point that he was gang related.
The problem with gang related is the definition changed. I don't know when. Gang related used to reference groups of individuals engaging with another group on violence. And what that meant is gang was loosely defined. What that meant is if 5 people did a pickup group for something and got into a conflict with another group of 5, you needed to just show that their intent went beyond defense, right? They're not protecting themselves. They're functioning as a gang, because gang doesn't necessarily mean you have flags, right? It is now the definition now infers that you're actually flagged up, like you're blooded in type shit, right?
Yeah.
And what that might mean is that you need this gang related charge that defines out what is a gang. Then you know what to put into a document. And then maybe a separate charge for 2 groups. All right. I'm trying to get him bought into this. He seems pretty bought into the general idea. Listen, chat, it's the road to senatorship. I think he's reasonable. I think a lot of